educator, a student, community member, as a citizen of our community. We share our values, local values, in terms of how it helps our education, local knowledge, and that expand to the outer global reach. So it is very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. That's great. Ruth, you wanted to say something? Yes.
Okay, so like it has been said, when we say internationalization in our higher education, we are trying to bring international per the term international and intercultural. So in the definition, you have international, you have intercultural. So more like blending or bringing international aspects into our local education for development. But one thing we need to also understand when it comes to the internationalization is not to forget about our local perspective, because internationalization could be applied in a wrong way, which could lead to brain drain. But what we are talking about internationalization in the African context, apart from we trying to bring in the international aspects into our education, we should always also have in mind that we can't forget local perspective. And so we have to bring in internationalization to develop, more like improve upon our education status in the higher education, so that our people are not, at the end of the day, at a disadvantage where we will lose our professionals into a more developed country. So even within the African context, one of the things I believe we could do like Kenya, like Nigeria, or all that, before looking at the other aspects. But regardless, what I want to bring to the forecourt is that in all of our exploits in internationalization, we should try not to forget our local values, such that we don't push our people, and at the end of the day, we'll be at a disadvantaged. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ruth. Professor Felix Maria, Felix, would you like to add anything?
Yes, thank you very much indeed, Prof. Joanna, and good afternoon to you all colleagues on this platform. It is really my pleasure to be a part of this very, very important discussion. But I want to go straight into the question, which is what is it that you understand by internationalization? And perhaps I just want to preface my own understanding of internationalization as one that has been shaped over a long period of time by my own personal educational experience, which has happened in the less developed world, but also in the developed world. But it has also, to a very large extent, been shaped by prominent scholars, and I would like to bring the names of Jen Knight and Hans David as some of the scholars that have really shaped and have written quite a lot and influenced, in my view, the rest of the world in terms of what internationalization is. But it has also been shaped by my colleagues, and Joanna, you are one of them, who has shaped my understanding of internationalization, but also my colleagues in the Global South, Samia Savoheleta, amongst other people that I have worked with, but also experiencing the practicalities in different global spaces, and perhaps more importantly, shaped by my own research. In short, I would say that internationalization is a journey towards embracing the ideas and practices that are associated with the highest international standards. And one of the key issues about adopting those international standards is actually the attempt to drive competitiveness And I would like to emphasize driving competitiveness rather than driving competition. I think that the deficit explanations of internationalization, we hear of the word competitiveness, but not necessarily about competition. And I've got my own misgivings about the word competition itself. So it is done, this competitiveness is done especially in terms of trying to meet in a more adequate way and in a more meaningful way for local. This is my understanding. But so for me, therefore, internationalization is both about changing mindsets, as it is also about adopting practical ways of dealing with change and transformation in higher education, which is aimed at, as my colleagues have already indicated, at embracing some of these very important and key international practices and ideas that we can get from other spaces across the world. And I think that in general, I would say that my understanding of internationalization has been shaped both by what I would call neoliberal imperatives, which emphasize market-driven ideas, and especially the commodification of education on one hand. And then I think in the global south, there's been a complete reshaping of my understanding of internationalization to embrace what some people may refer to as, some decolonial imperatives, which seek essentially to promote education as a public good, and which especially seek to deconstruct the edifices of Western hegemony, valuing especially the horizontalization rather than the verticalization of power matrices and power relations. So I think up when we adopt other people's values. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Felix. That's very interesting. I think we have quite a comprehensive review of internationalization so far from all these views, and it's very interesting. Just to one of the main purposes of this webinar that has been running for a while now was to actually achieve exactly that, where we get into a conversation where we unpack the term, we reflect on what it means, and also not just the term itself, but how we know about it, how we decide that this is the knowledge that we want to go with. So, I mean, the value building process that Felix mentioned, the focus